slowed down, held back, inhibited. What you get out depends on what you put in. Rejuvenate your engine's performance with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline, because true performance knows no bounds. New and improved Shell V-Power Nitro Plus removes up to 100% of performance-robbing deposits to rejuvenate your engine's performance. Continuous use in gasoline direct injection engine fuel injectors.
Because of what their standing orders say. And I think that Parliament and Speaker are in the right position to do what they have done. If the minority want to be accorded some kind of privileges, then they must act according to that particular provision that has been granted them.
So what's your expectation of what the minority should do now?
Luckily for them, it's not an automatic way of taking them out. Actually, we know that when it is continuous, 15 days, then you are putting yourself in danger of losing your seat. But when you can even come for up to, or you can absent yourself up to 14 days, and then on the 15th day you come, and then the process starts all over again. But if the minority is minded that they want their names to be recorded, then the Speaker has given them a hint what to do. Now, write formally to the Speaker. I don't know if writing en bloc is something to go by, where the leader of the minority will now have to write a letter to cover everybody, or the individuals will have to be writing a letter each to the Speaker to give him reason why they will not be present at a particular time. And I think that even if they have to do that, then each day they have to present a letter, because they can't present a letter to cover and say that, okay, if I absent myself for 15 days, Mr. Speaker, you are notified that each of the time that I don't come, assume that I am solidarizing with my colleague. It means that they would have to go the extra mile, write letters for each day that they are absent, because we need them to represent us, to work for us as people who have asked them to represent us. So if for any reason they are not going to be, they have to give us the reason why they are not going to be there.
Okay.
So that's what we think.
A bit of clarity here. Does the standing order say 15 continuous days?
Try Syntec High Mileage Full Synthetic Motor Oil to help high mileage engines run better for longer. Only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Order say 15 continuous days or 15 days, irrespective of whether it was continuous. Does the standing order say 15 continuous days or 15 days, irrespective of whether it was continuous?
Into this matter. And we are only asking for investigations, nothing more than investigations, so that we can expose, we can know those people behind it. If we are not behind it, why are you worried? If we are not behind it, why are you worried? Assist us, agree that we investigate into this matter, and just investigation, you want to impede investigation. What are you hiding? What are you people hiding? What are we just want investigation? They should agree that we investigate into this involved.
Well, after listening to the heated debate amongst the minority and majority, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, then ruled that there must be investigation, but with some conditions.
There is the need for an investigation. But going by the standing orders, I have to give proper direction as to the nature, the type of investigation. And so going by the same standing order 72, the last sentence says, the terms of any such proposed statement shall first be submitted to Mr. Speaker. So I will urge the maker of the urgent statement to to submit in writing the terms of the proposed statement which he just gave us notice. This will guide me to give the direction as to how the investigation or inquiry be conducted by the appropriate committee of the House. And so I direct that a statement be submitted in writing to me to assist me perform my duties.
As you're watching the pulse here on the Joy News channel, still to the show, some more than 400 individuals have been arrested for engaging in cyber crimes, including fake loan apps. Details of that and more coming up after the break.
With the EcoBank salary account, you will enjoy free life insurance, free debit card, save while you spend, and an amazing chance to double your salary, and even more consolation rewards in the EcoBank double salary promo reloaded.
Guy, this EcoBank salary account sounds interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, but maybe next time, Charlie. You know what? I'd go shine my.
Yo, myself, I'd go check my BP.
We going up, never go down, and we stay fly.
Chairman, see the white sign it here.
Open an EcoBank salary account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 1st. Terms and conditions apply.
And top life regardless.
This promo is under the supervision of the National Lottery Authority under the Caritas Lottery platform.
It's the Premier League, all on DSTV. The goals, clashes, and moments. All of Rashford, Salah, and Saka.
This is getting better and better.
All in the language of your choice. All in HD. Available on all these days to choose from. To watch on all these devices. Get DSTV with an HD decoder plus 1 month compact for 299 CDs. It's the Premier League, all on DSTV.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Tough.
In partnership with National Theatre and Joy FM, Roverman Productions present I Like What You Like, an original white play.
Hey, Kwesi Trumpet. What kind of misfortune follows you that when your rich auntie dies, the only thing she leaves you is her ashes? Boy, my friend, you are not going to keep this in this household. Go and put it outside the gates. You can stay with it and regard it as waykeeping. Oh, or you can use it for tea. Your share.
Well, his auntie named him a sole beneficiary to her estate.
I'm his wife. May I know how much it's worth?
Roughly $350 million.
What?
I Like What You Like shows at the National Theatre on July 7th, 8th, 9th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. One show on Friday at 7 p.m. 2 shows on Saturday at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. 3 shows on Sundays at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. You can buy tickets at a cool 150 Ghana cedis via short code *365 *535 hash and all the usual outlets sponsored by Ebony Condoms, Gino, GCB, and M Notify. On Saturday at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. 3 shows on Sundays at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. You can buy tickets at a cool 150 Ghana cedis via short code *365 *535 hash and all the usual outlets sponsored by Ebony Condoms, Gino, GCP, and M Notify. Superman Productions. Be the